Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, turnout worries as Algerians vote in parliamentary elections in which many major opposition candidates have been barred from running. Attention for the exercise is also split as football fans gear up for a World Cup showdown with Switzerland. Also, dozens die in severe flooding in Ivory Coast after days of torrential rains and landslides that have buried homes in Abidjan under mud. Dozens of people are still missing. And the fall of Down Beach, a waterfront community once surrounded by black volcanic sands, see their environmental heritage swamped by tons of rubbish swept onto the shores by months of heavy rain. The problem gets worse every year and has polluted the beach town's quality of life. We take a closer look. But first, Algerians headed out to parliamentary elections on Thursday, an exercise overshadowed by the sidelining of hundreds of would-be candidates who had been hoping to go up against the ruling National Liberation Movement for seats. The government made voting day a paid holiday in the hope of boosting the numbers of people turning out. Our Claire Pacla is in Algiers and gives us the breakdown of the day. Claire, how's it looking? What's the latest where you are?
Well, the polling stations have closed now. I'm here in Algiers. The latest turnout figures that I can give you from ANI, from the official election authority, they come from 3 p.m. this afternoon. So at 3 p.m. this afternoon, across the country, turnout was at 11.24%. So not particularly high. And we visited 4 polling stations here in Algiers. And from what we saw, it was calm. There was a steady but slow flow of people coming in to vote. We spoke to some of the voters just after they'd cast their ballots. An elderly lady showed us her electoral card saying that it was her civic duty to vote. She said she couldn't imagine not voting, that she'd voted in several elections in the past and that it was important to her. Another man in his 50s told us he felt that it was important to vote in these elections because he said that for him, he believes that Algeria is moving forward and that it's time for people to feel patience, that it's the early days, but he felt that he needs to vote in order to take part and participate in Algeria's future. Now, that doesn't chime quite the same when you speak to younger generations. Often younger generations will say, younger people we've been speaking to here in the streets in Algiers will say to us, well, we don't feel engaged with the political offer. We don't feel connected to it. We don't feel it represents us. That's what some young people have been telling us. And they feel, those we were speaking to earlier today, feel that voting won't actually change much for them. And so that is why these turnout figures are looking low, and they were low 5 years ago as well at 23%. What I can tell you, though, Georgia, is that something that all Algerians agree on is love and pride for their national football team. We're going up against Switzerland in the early hours of Friday morning in Vancouver. And the conversations that I've been hearing have been turning around that, to be honest. That's been a central point. Algerians here in Algiers telling me that they'll be getting up very early to watch the match at 4 a.m. local time, or some of them telling me they won't even be going to bed. But for them, love and pride for their national football team is very much the centre of a lot of conversations here in the capital.
So beyond their excitement about that game, which is very understandable, Claire, has there been any specific issues that have been raised by perhaps particularly the young people that you've been speaking to in terms of the stakes of what they're hoping for their country going forward?
What's interesting is that when you look back at the Hirak protest movement that started in 2019, huge momentum. There were demonstrations, pro-democracy demonstrations in the streets. Those demonstrations that led to the downfall of the late former president Bouteflika. There were parliamentary elections in 2021. Turnout was low, 23%. Several opposition parties boycotted those elections. But in these elections, many of those parties, the RCD, the FFS and the Workers' Party, they are actually taking part in these elections, partly because an electoral reform that came in earlier this year says that if a party were to boycott 2 elections in a row, then they risk getting shut down. The authorities say that's to prevent seasonal parties coming and going and create a bit of stability in the electoral system, but that's part of the reason. But another reason is that Some of the opposition candidates are saying, well, actually, we feel we need to get back onto the political scene. We can't shut ourselves off anymore. We need to get back on the political scene. But will that mean that turnout will be higher than in the last elections 5 years ago? Will that mean that young people will engage? Well, we're still waiting to get the latest, most recent turnout figures. We don't have them yet, Georgia. But what I can say is that no one here that I've been speaking to is expecting a high turnout in this election.
Thanks so much. Claire Paquelin there following things as Algerians vote in parliamentary elections in Algiers. Now, as Senegal's Lions of Teranga lick their wounds after a gutting elimination World Cup game, star midfielder Pape Gueye has struck out, saying that he will no longer be available for national team selection as long as the current coaching staff is in place for Senegal. Now, Senegal had looked set to progress, but squandered a 2-goal lead against Belgium on Wednesday before losing 3-2 in extra time, with Belgium striking twice in the final 4 minutes, snatching victory from the Lions' jaws. Now, at least 59 people have died in severe flooding in Ivory Coast. Days of torrential rain also triggered extreme landslides in Abidjan. Dozens of people are still missing as emergency teams scramble to do what they can post Monday's disaster, and stricken families struggle to keep hope afloat.
Entire families are trapped beneath the muddy devastation in parts of Abidjan. Aissa too lost her older brother, his wife and their children in a landslide triggered by heavy rains.
They all left together. My brother, his wife and their children. They all left together.
Just a few meters away, a survivor is searching through the rubble, looking for any belongings of his old life that he can find. He was lucky. 10 people were lost from the house next door.
They came to rescue me. They broke through there. I helped my wife out and the children. Everyone on the other side was already dead.
The recent rains were unusually intense. In just 2 days, nearly 30% of the total rainfall expected for the entire season poured down on Abidjan.
Abidjan normally receives 414 millimeters of rainfall, but when we add up what has been recorded since the beginning of June until now, we are already at 799 millimeters of rainfall.
This hillside had been identified as a high-risk area.
We ran several awareness campaigns. We even started demolishing some houses, but as soon as we left, people would move back.
Search operations continue. Rescue teams are combing through the piles of earth searching for missing people. With every passing hour, the chances of finding anyone alive gets smaller.
At this stage, we have recovered 4 dead bodies. Around 10 people are still reported missing.
As more rain is expected, the government held an emergency meeting announcing the evacuation of people living in high-risk areas.
Well, in Limbe, at the foot of Mount Cameroon, Down Beach used to be the pride of the seaside town that cradles it. But months of heavy rain have swept tons of rubbish onto its unique volcanic sands, a problem that just gets worse every year and has had overall a huge impact on the beach community's quality of life, as our team reports.
Cameroon's Down Beach is strewn with rubbish. It's in Limbe in the southwest region and was once renowned for its black sand. But today, it's smothered by waste washed up by the sea. The pollution is not only an eyesore, it's affecting marine life and the livelihoods of the people who depend on it. Elvis is a fisherman and says he's lucky to have returned with a catch today.
We are having bad time now. About 3 months now we have been going to fishing. There's no fish. Only today that God bless us.
Now surrounded by garbage, seaside restaurants are deserted. Customers are scarce and fish vendors have seen their sales plummet.
Some customers, when they come here, they see the beach is dirty, it don't give them appetite to sit and eat. When the business is booming, I can have more than 150 customers per day. But now, now it's not giving it. It's very, very slow. So we can have like 20 or above.
Local NGOs are trying to do what they can. Once a week, environmental activists get together volunteers for a beach cleanup equipped with gloves, rakes and wheelbarrows. They try, but it barely makes a dent in the huge amounts of rubbish they are faced with.
Most of the litters from all the quarters in Limbe, their exit point is the beach, because it goes to the sea and the sea brings them back. It destroys the marine ecosystem, and even those that are coming here for touristic purposes, it's not good for them.
The communities of Down Beach in Limbe fear that it is dying. This ecological disaster compounds the fallout from a security crisis that has dragged on since 2016.
Well, climate change has disrupted previously predictable weather patterns all around the world. In northern Benin, heavy rains and dry spells have weighed heavily on crop yields. In light of the difficulties farmers are facing, some schools are now teaching kids how to become more self-reliant and grow their own veg. Take a look.
Students at this school in Chinenchi in northern Benin are piling up sandbags to grow vegetables without using a single square meter of land.
You submerge the plant and close it back up carefully. We can gradually use this type of gardening to decrease food insecurity.
A salvaged can is punctured, slowly dripping water near the plant.
It gives us tomatoes, okra, everything to cook for the school cafeteria. We eat it and it's good.
This year's harvest ended on the school children's lunch plates. Families from the neighborhood are also able to enjoy a few free meals. Some students have taken what they've learned and started doing the same at home.
I have planted tomatoes and pepper at home. I plant and water them. My parents are very happy.
Atakora is one of the districts most affected by climate change. The African Development Bank Group has invested millions of dollars to help farmers there. In Chinenchi, children are also taught about the environment at an early age.
This is environmental education. We take children and they become grown-ups later. They already have the tools to fight against climate change.
These are neem leaves. They're used to treat the plants, to prevent insects from attacking the plant.
The UN is hoping to scale up the environmental education work it's backed here in Chinenchi. In as little as just a few months, 300 children from across region will also be learning simple but life-changing ways to adapt to some of the impacts of climate change.
And finally, we take a peek at a showcase of some of the haute couture of African contemporary fashion as it's celebrated here in the City of Style in Paris. Now, African fashion art brings together the best of some of the heavyweights from both continents, but also the event at the impressive Quai Branly Museum is a chance for established names to give up-and-coming African creatives both a spotlight and a springboard. Our Diouf went along for a strut.
Every year, we put out an international call for applications. And we get a lot of submissions, especially from young people in the diaspora, as well as from across Africa. This year, we received around 740 applications, and only 4 people were selected. They came to Paris for a mentoring program, and today they're wrapping up their journey with a fashion show here at the Quai Branly Museum.
This platform gives us the opportunity to showcase our work internationally, connect with people, build our network, and really position our brand so we can grow at an international level. You probably know at Cheque, when it is being made, it is left to dry on woven raffia trays, which have this really tight texture. We wanted to recreate that texture in the fabric of these trousers.
Looking good. Well, that, though, is all you have time for Eye on Africa. But thanks very much for joining us, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.
The Declaration is signed here on August 2nd, 1776.
250 years after its independence, Donald Trump wants to leave his mark on U.S. history.
Trump administration tried to shut down this site here.
Tell the truth!
Our history!
The White House's goal is clear: to impose its vision of America.
That what matters most to Trump is Trump.
We're just not used to this in democracy.
Opposition is growing, the courts are resisting, and America is divided.
Congress is the only group that can remove the name or make a change.
You know what? If it was Joe Biden doing it, the people on the right would be mad about it. So,
watch 250 years of U.S. history revisited on France 24.
Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith.
All the latest in politics, economics and the arts in Africa on France 24. Our journalists are in every region, every country, to report on the emergence of a continent of unparalleled riches. Bringing you Africa's stories on France 24.
Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.